And hello, everybody. Welcome in, folks, to Out to Lunch here on WRMN, the voice of the valley and the talk of the town. We are broadcasting live here from Studio 14, serving you, the listeners, in the community. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today and being a part of the conversation with us. Our phone lines are open today at 847-931-1410. I'm your host, Matt McNeil, taking you into this 11 o'clock hour, as well as our 12 o'clock hour here on your trusted local radio station for news, talk, and entertainment in the Fox River Valley area. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today. You can find us on our YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/WRMN Radio. And if you want to hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell, you can always keep yourself up to date and in the loop with what is going on. Now, I've been announcing this, and per many requests out there, we are back again here having Mayor Dave Kaptain on with us here on the second and fourth Thursdays of the month at the 11 o'clock hour. This is a great opportunity for you to tune in and to know a recap of the Committee of the Whole and regular City Council meetings and what is going on, what happened, especially if you weren't able to attend. Now, don't forget also, too, that you can find their videos posted on their YouTube channel. There's also a link directly through their website. That is at elginvideo.cityofelgin.org for more information. So please feel free to take a look at that. But we want to warmly welcome Mayor Dave Kaptain here in the station today. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, Matt. How are you?
Very good. Thank you so much. You look all nice and cozy.
Oh, I try to be.
Yes.
That's that kind of weather.
Very good. Very good. So yesterday was the meeting, and I know that it started at 6 p.m. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And of course, these meetings do happen. They're twice a month, every second and fourth Wednesday.
That's correct.
And anyone can attend. And it's located at the City Hall at 150 Dexter Court. I spent a good amount of my childhood there because my mom was a planner back in the day. And she worked there, and she worked with city manager Rick Kozel as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember him as a kid as well too, and the place has not changed. So I get a lot of nostalgia when I walk in there. So
That's
very,
been
very good.
that's one of my stories, and I said, but sometimes what goes around comes around. I started out at the bottom of City Hall. When I was in high school, I was a laborer in my early years in college, and one of the jobs I was on was working at the City Hall when that was going to be constructed.
Oh, that's cool.
And
That's really
so I
neat.
worked in the basement, and
Wow.
I said, here I am back, but I said at a different level, but I
Wow.
said that's been just part of being a lifetime resident of Elgin.
I love that. What a cool story, too.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, I wanted to start off here, of course, just giving you a little recap, or Mayor, if you could give us a little recap here. Anything that are important in terms of maybe some key decisions and votes in the most recent city council meeting. So, any, kind of significant decisions that might have come to play. And we'll go through the list, too, on those specific topics. But
Yeah.
Let us know how you wanted to start off with this.
Yeah, Matt, I think a good way to do this is since this is the first time we're together, and the first show is to talk about how the city council process works,
Okay.
and what happens for a city council meeting. And as you said, they start at 6 o'clock, and that's the committee of the whole meeting. And the committee of the whole is where the city council sits down and really has a discussion of issues that are out there, and things are presented to us from staff that need to be addressed. It's an opportunity for council to share ideas, and there's two ways that these things we move them forward. We have a vote for some things. Some things we come are on both agendas. That means they have to be expedited for that evening. So we have a discussion at the committee of the whole meeting, and then we will vote on those to move them forward at the regular council meeting in an hour and a half. And that gets them done so they can be completed in the next 2 weeks. Now, the committee of the whole meeting would allow us to share ideas, share thoughts, and come up with a plan to move an idea forward. And if there's a split discussion on that, it will go to the next council meeting in 2 weeks, and then come back. It would be a final discussion where we might clean up our ideas, put it together where it'll finally move on. If there's total agreement, and we have some of those tonight, they will go automatically to the consent agenda in 2 weeks. So
Okay.
that means that some of the things we're going to talk about, and I'll go with the first one on our list was the redevelopment of 61 to 65 South Grove Avenue. And it was a unanimous decision to put it forward, provide some funding from the TIF, downtown TIF. So that will go to the consent agenda in 2 weeks. That will allow the developer, his process can be started in 2 weeks.
Okay.
If it's not unanimous, it would have another day of discussion. So that would extend it out a couple weeks. So uh, the regular council meeting is the final. We make a decision, then this is going to become a law, or it's going to become funding from us. We pay our bills at the regular council meeting. We have all the regular bill paying that we have to do, and as part of the regular council meeting is the consent agenda, and the consent agenda is all the things that we've passed
Mhm.
over the past couple weeks, and they will. That means that they're finalized, and now I sign any documents that have to be signed, and it makes it legal to move on. The other thing that's part of the city council meeting, and many people don't pay much attention to it. It's mostly council work at the end. It's called miscellaneous business. And the miscellaneous business is pretty important. Many council members, we spend some time on that. It gives us summaries of commission meetings. So we know what's happened in the past month for commission meetings, gives us their minutes, the decisions that were made, and gives us a little view as to what they've done. And it also looks at the money that was spent.
Mhm.
So I go through and look at the money that was spent by the city. We have people at every level have ability to go out and spend money, and we can go and review that. So it's a way for us to look at what's going on in the city, and I think it's very seldom is talked about unless there are some issues that we bring up. Consent agenda is something that if somebody has a second thought, for example, on something that was passed at the regular council meeting, the consent agenda will give them an opportunity to pull that one item out and have further discussion on it.
Okay.
But after that, it's law and it's done. So that's kind of how the process works. So when we
Okay.
talk about these things and those terms come up, I think it's important for city to understand how people understand how this process works.
Very good. Absolutely. I'll definitely in time look through it more too to
Yeah.
familiarize myself as
Okay,
well.
and it's, and staff puts a lot of initiatives forward to us. They do the research, and they'll provide us some of the paperwork that we work with, and I'll have that for us to talk about today.
Awesome. Very good. So we'll start off here with the initiatives and other items. You talked about 61 South Grove. There's going to be that redevelopment agreement. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was, uh, it's for a mixed-use development. It's the property is for those people that drive down Grove Avenue, it's the one that's got the supports holding the facade up.
Hmm.
And the building has been vacant for a number of years and needed repair. It had a couple of roof failures, but the plan is to put in some retail on the first floor. There's going to be some apartments on the second floor, and potentially some office space.
Hmm.
And they applied for assistance from the city. The developer applied for uh, assistance from the city. The group that's doing it is the South Grove Holdings Corporation, and they're going to do the rehab. Total cost is going to be over $5 million.
Hmm.
So they've asked the city for about $1.8 million in assistance from the TIF. And we'll do some things with them. We'll do some fast tracking and some permits to help them get the process going. But it allows them now, once they get the TIF funding, that's a big leg up for them. They can go out and start looking to apply for grants. It's a historic building, and there are a lot of moving parts that are going to have to take place with this. A lot of reconstruction work are going to have to be done to bring the building up to ADA compliance, accessibility for people, improvements that need to be made for, if we obviously going to put apartments and residential in, there are going to be some remodeling that has to be done, but it's going to be a great project when it's finished. So that's part of the downtown redevelopment, and that's been direction the city's taken for the last 20 some years is bringing more residential to the downtown and make it more of a 24/7 type of environment.
Very good.
And just as a side note, I think
Mhm.
that it's important. I've had discussions in the past when I became mayor. I talked about the community and how people lived, and I said that people needed to live closer to where they work.
Mhm.
And it's a good environmentally, it's good for sustainability, it's good for businesses. And the Northwest Industrial Park on Randall Road, up where oh, let's see, what's the burnt toast and those types of restaurants
Mhm.
are up there, um, are were kind of struggling at that time. It was a large industrial site,
Mhm.
and the developer came to see me the week after I got elected and said, "Did I mean what I said?" I said, "Yeah, I think it's important that people can live where they work." He said, "Well, I'd like to build an apartment complex."
Okay.
So our efforts in downtown spurred similar types of developments out there. And that's kind of the trend that we're working towards now is to create areas where um, they become small town centers where people can live, they can go have a meal and enjoy themselves. And it took almost a decade, but the developer out there built an apartment complex. I think there are about 250 apartments in there, and that was the first of its kind
Mhm.
along Randall Road. And people thought that, well, Randall Road should be all commercial, and
Okay.
it's changed the way other communities looked at it. So
Yep.
Elgin kind of took a lead and said that we see and we understand about our downtown and how that's been a little successful for us. So that spurred similar types of development around our city. That's good for everybody.
Absolutely. And it all comes in back into the community as well, especially when you live close to close to where you work, and so that's always important as well too.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the well, right next door to the studio here is the Tower Building.
Mhm.
That was a big redevelopment, and the idea there was, well, how can it be better than this? People live and they can walk 1 block and get on the Metra and go into Chicago if they work in Chicago,
Mhm.
and they can commute. So it creates kind of a urban type environment in the small town and a commuter type environment at the same time. I think we're trying to going to see that probably spread as we grow a little bit more out to the west. That we're going to add those town centers and create a little sense of community. I think that was something that we've lost in the last 20 or 30 years for those types of
Mhm.
developments. We kind of took the community part away, and we have to put that back.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the Channing Park improvements. There's some design and engineering services with Upland Design as
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
If you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, there's gonna be some, that was something that's, engineering costs for us, and that's the preliminary work, that goes into these things. That was, about $190,000, and it, will allow them to go in and look at replacing some of the playground equipment. And, if I remember correctly, we, talked about this a few years ago. Many of our playgrounds had started to get a little long in the tooth, and,
Mhm.
they were 20 the playground equipment got to be 20, 25 years old and has to start to be replaced. And Greg Hulke, who's spearheads a lot of these and makes these choices for the Parks Department, told me, Dave, we said we each one of these is going to be $1 million. So that's been pretty close to what we're seeing as a cost to go back and redo these. Some of them have to be upgraded for ADA requirements. There are
Mhm.
new technologies. Some of the things, the bouncy surfaces that are in there are important. And so there's been some changes, and it's just a matter of keeping up. And Channing Park is one of those parks. So it's going to be a good thing for that neighborhood and close to the school as well. So
Mhm.
it's going to be a good advantage for that neighborhood and neighborhood parks. And as part of Elgin's history, the plan was the long-term plan was that every home would be within a half mile of a park. So
Very good.
it's still something that we strive for and try to do that. But I think as we got when they probably did that, most people were pedestrian
Mhm.
and more pedestrian than they are now. So it was a lot more difficult to drive someplace. But we are seeing some major redevelopments and some major projects. One that's probably worth touching on now is it's coming to completion, and we had that discussion a little bit last night with the sports complex.
Oh,
It's over
yes.
a $20 million improvement,
Hmm.
and there was some road work to be done with that, so it ties into a lot of things in the southwest neighborhood, and the traffic control for people moving in and out of the sports complex, and for used to be one exit onto McLean, now there's going to be an exit onto State Street, and that'll make traffic flow a little bit easier.
Hmm.
But that $20 million project we got funding from a number of sources to do that. But it's going to be opening up this year, and I think my understanding is it's just about ready to go. And that's been a project that went on for most of last summer, and a property that the city owns. Again, that's a major project that's taken place in Elgin.
Very good. I know I live in Central Oaks West, and I know a couple of years ago they recently did our park as well too.
Yeah,
And I've noticed an influx of more people going to the park than before, and so that's something that helped to improve. And I know less than a mile away, of course, is Central Oaks West. There's Creekside School, so there's a lot of schools around that area too.
sure. And that's you touch on something else. And I just did some couple presentations that I do for community groups and the State of the City address. And one of the things that we're starting to see a lot is the reinvestment.
Hmm.
And one of the reinvestments is reconstruction of Century Oak School.
Oh,
And
okay.
there's going to be some work there. And there's going to be new schools up on Grove Avenue. Um, a new school is planned for that. And a new high school, we'll have a ribbon cutting coming up or a groundbreaking, I should say. It's not a ribbon cutting, but a groundbreaking out at Larkin High School for the new football stadium. So a lot of work going on in
Hmm.
Elgin. And it's, again, some of these things are, um, schools are starting to get old and they have to be replaced and upgraded. And it's all part of living in a city.
Absolutely.
So,
I know that there's also another design project that's at the City Hall parking lot as well.
yeah, and that was really a good thing for discussion. We had a number of things, and I guess we call them environmental projects, and this was one. We got some money from the EPA, and to do it's a sustainable parking lot. Going to be very, I guess, cutting edge. It's been again, that's something that had to be replaced. Going to be permeable pavers. Going to be a good stormwater control. There's going to be charging stations there for electric vehicles,
Hmm.
and it's just bringing it up to speed for us. And again, these are just beginning the engineering costs and the design for that. That's the first step. A little over $100,000 for engineering costs, and then we'll come back with final design numbers from the engineers and cost estimates, and we'll go from there. But that's another thing that has to be redone. And again, those things cause a little bit of a dent, and that's where I'm parked right now, is over by that parking lot.
Yep.
So it's going to cause a little bit of discomfort for a while, but it's going to be really a good project when it's finished.
Definitely. And I know right now we have, I do believe it's two charging stations over at the free parking.
Yes,
So we will be adding to that with the City Hall parking.
yes, they're
Okay.
going to be start adding. We're adding parking stations and parking stations around on city property. Just out at the Bowes Creek Country Club, there's some charging stations out there, so you're going to see them popping up around, and those technologies are becoming more and more efficient for people, and ways for the city to put in something, and a convenience with the electric vehicles that are becoming more prevalent.
Hmm. Absolutely. And then finally, there's another one here. There's some various West Side Streets resurfacing projects. If
Yeah.
you wanted to talk a little bit about that with
Yeah,
us.
and those are we've got a lot of things in the fire here the last couple months. Projects that we do, and some of these things take a long time. Probably back in December, I believe we had some. We're looking at getting some funding from a mayor's caucus for some street resurfacing projects. So we start to apply for funding for these things, and hopefully we can receive funding, and maybe they'll be added to the agenda this year. But these are projects now that we're funding and going to move forward with, again, design engineering. And I'll list the streets, and I want people to know where they're at. And it's always nice to know your street's going to be done. Some of these will include Todd Farm Drive, Todd Farm Court, Countryside Drive, Brayburn Drive, Lawrence Avenue, Heine Avenue, Triggs, 6 Hour. Those are in areas just off of McLean, near Kimball, Hoxie, South Lyle Avenue, Maple Street, 2nd Street, Erie Street, Mosley Street, and Oak Street are all scheduled for some resurfacing, and they're going to be pavement. They're going to be milled, and so it's a grind off and a application of blacktop. And it's the least invasive of things. It is invasive, but when you do a major project, a major street project, and we have to go in and dig up sewer lines, curbs and gutters, those types of things, that's a major project. But those are things that we have on a schedule, and I think it's important. One of the important things that we're running into, and I'll kind of go off track just a little bit here, is the lead service lines. We've talked to staff about this, but the lead service lines are causing a change in our schedule for doing these streets. The lead service lines have to be done in a very short period of time. 7 years, we've been given a time limit by the federal government to get the lead service lines removed. And as part of that, they have to dig some of the streets up, a piece of the street. Well, typically our streets might last 20 years or 25 years. And we have them on a schedule. The Public Works does a great job of making sure that we rotate and move around and take care of the streets that are in some trouble. But now we have to go back, and we may be digging up streets that have not been in there that long,
Okay.
and less than 10 years. So it's going to cause some disruptions. It's also going to cause some added costs. And right now we have, for people that haven't become aware of this, it's been in the press and in discussion for many, many years, over 5 years now since COVID. And we have about, we have started out with a little over 12,000 lead service lines, more than anybody in the state of Illinois except the city of Chicago. And we have to replace all of those, and we started to do them at about 1,000 a year. The cost for us is about $14 million a year.
Okay.
And it's we borrow some, we have grants for some, but those are things that we're doing. We're doing complete replacement at no cost to the homeowner, but they do cause some disruptions in the neighborhood. We have to do street dig ups and things like that. So it's all part of this construction, and we're starting the construction season very soon. And if the weather breaks here, and we'll be going out and doing some street work and working with the state of Illinois and Kane County to make it as hopefully as seamless as possible. But it's going to be going to be challenging for us.
Well, there you go, folks. We're going to take a quick time out, and we'll be back with more here on this segment with Mayor Dave Kaptain here on WRMN AM 1410, broadcasting live here from Studio 14, serving you, the Fox River Valley area and Elgin. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and we'll be back with more in just a little bit. And welcome back, folks, to Out to Lunch here on WRMN. We are doing a recap of some of the agendas here from the Committee of the Whole and regular City Council meeting that was yesterday, February 11th at City Hall at 150 Dexter Court. So thank you so much to Mayor Dave Kaptain for coming into the station today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We got a very good question, call off the air from a lovely lady. I know who she was. She asked a question here. She is from Edgewater, and she was curious if Edgewater is going to be tested for lead, and if you want to respond to that.
We do lead testing. The city's required to do lead testing on virtually every neighborhood within the city, and there's a random way to do it, and but the focus is really in areas that are. When we do lead testing, there are areas that would be most likely to have lead, and Edgewater is not one of those.
Okay.
Any home built after 1988 is pretty safe, and there are issues if you have copper lines where they may have used lead solder, and that's not common anymore. But generally, it's safe. And for people in Edgewater, I'll be honest, because I'm in that age group, that at your age and those people that live out there, it's not going to be a hazard to you. It's really a hazard for young people and for children, and that's where the major concern is at. The lead lines that we're taking out are really the supply lines that come from the street into the house, but in Edgewater, that's not going to be an issue.
We wanted to talk a little bit here about the Randall Point West subdivision. There is an acceptance for some public improvements.
Yeah, and we do these on occasionally. They come in and it's a project that's been done. Um, it's an obligation the city has to fulfill infrastructure that's been done in the past. And we've accepted infrastructure, certain things for maybe electric or maybe sewer lines or maybe easements and things like that. It's routinely done when a project is built, and we accept the sidewalks, or we accept that the streets have to be taken care of by the city of Elgin, and we accept them as a part of our community, and they're turned over by the developers to the city, and we accept them as completed, and we move on. Then and they become a part of our permanent record.
Okay. So that's the Randall Point West subdivision. Estimated, that's about a 5-year maintenance cost, it says.
Correct.
We also have another one here, Tall Oaks Unit 3 subdivision. So there's also acceptance for public improvements
It's the
there as
same.
well.
It's the same thing. It's public streets and those types of things, and we street lights may be part of it. It depends on the contract with the developer, but it allows the developer then to close out his development. The city takes ownership.
Okay. Now, when you implement, say, like street lamps, like you said, they have to make sure that the measurements are correct with the sidewalk and the street, and all of
Yeah.
those precautions are taken into
That's
consideration.
one thing that it's worth talking about. We have some developments that have been put in that the developer, as part of the development agreement, agreed to maintain the streets, and they may have a homeowners association that charges a fee for those things. Maintain that they would maintain the lawn, they maintain the sidewalk, and we get asked a lot. It comes back, and people bring it up. They move in there, and they say, "Well, why do I have to pay a homeowner's fee, and we have to pay to plow our own streets?" Well, that was the agreement, and when that was the development was built. And
Mhm.
many of the streets, and those are maybe too narrow for our city equipment
Mhm.
to deal with now. And there are ways that uh, it can be done. That the city can take those over, but that usually means there's another added fee that would go back to those homeowners. And so it's always a discussion, and the answer is always the same, that that was the agreement that they made when the development was built. And apartment buildings, they want a private streets, for example, and
Mhm.
that allows them to have private streets.
Good. And then finally, here we have another one, and I know that this has been one that people have discussed before about retailer single-use bag ordinance. If you want to elaborate more on this.
Sure, that'll take a lot of elaboration
Yeah.
because that's been around for about a decade,
Hmm.
and the discussion's been up and down. It's come to the council a couple times for review, been sent back to staff and back to a sustainability commission a couple times
Hmm.
for fine tuning. It's very controversial. We just did a citizen survey, a city survey, and let me check my notes here. So I want to make sure that we get this. That a survey around the city to look for what people felt
Hmm.
about the bag ordinance, and 57% were opposed and 38% supported a plastic bag ordinance. And the concept is that plastic bags create an environmental hazard because of the plastic that goes in them, the chemical nature of them, and they also become a nuisance when they're left blowing around and end up in trees and as a waste. There are ways to dispose of them if you can recycle them. Certain places have Jewel, for example, has a place that you can deposit the used bags, and they can recycle them. People use them in the home for kitty litter. Those are the discussions that we started to have, and it was on the agenda last night. And because of some scheduling issues, I'll put it be kindly and put it that way, the last month or two on some major matters for discussion. This was placed on the agenda for last night, and because it was originally scheduled for the end of the month, it kind of disrupted the discussion, because some of the people that are going to be impacted the most, which are the retailers, had scheduled it to be on for their plans for the end of the month, and we moved it up 2 weeks, and it caused a disruption. So the council voted last night 6-3 to delay the real discussion on the bag ordinance until the next meeting on the 25th.
Okay.
So that's when it'll take place. But it's been controversial
Hmm.
for a number of years. The issues are still there. Uh, we look at it from a short term, long term. How's it going to impact um, retailers in the city? And many of them are grocery stores, obviously. For
Hmm.
large ones, Walmart is one, Target, Blaine's, uh, are those types of the large retailers are going to be impacted. And it's our obligation as a city council to listen to both sides. And at the end of the discussion, it's up to us to make what we think is the best decision.
Hmm.
My plan, my I've been doing this for 14 years now, and I always try to make the best decision for the entire community. And certain times there are things that are
Hmm.
not popular with certain segment of the population, but for the good of the community, we have to make that decision, and that's what city council's for.
Hmm.
And this will be one of those. I'm sure it's going to be a controversial discussion. And the concept here is that for plastic bags, the are going to be banned from these stores, so they're going to have to come up with a replacement bag, and that would be paper or something along those lines. And the cost would be, we allow a cost of 10 cents as a minimum, so that people have to pay to do something, to do this, to move on. But the goal would be to get them to carry a bag and carry
Hmm.
bags into the store that they could be reused. And for environmental purposes, it's the best solution to do that. And I think that there's got to be some education process to go out to this. And cost estimate for that is pretty minimal for the city. It's $18,000. When the first proposal came to the city, there was would be a share for the city would take a portion of the money that the retailer collected, and I totally object to that. And it's not about making money. This is about an environmental issue. If you want to do an environmental issue, let it be that. So the money is going to go back to the retailers, and they hopefully can recoup some of their costs and make it a little bit less painful for them. But it's certainly about an education process and for us to move on environmentally. And that'll be the discussion the council has, and
Hmm.
looking forward to that in 2 weeks.
That'll be coming up in 2 weeks. And then do you think too, possibly with the ordinance, do you think that there'll be more of accessibility to bags for people to purchase so that they can go and not have to purchase the 10-cent bags? They can bring their own bags. Will there be more in store,
Absolutely.
things
And
like that?
there was a group that gave out a free bag to the city council last night. And, you know, there's been efforts along those lines for a number of years. I know Woodman's sells bags, reusable bags.
Hmm.
I think they're $1. I believe there's something down at Walmart for 85 cents. And you can look at it from a number of ways, and that if uh, they can get a little advertising, if the name of their business is on the bag, they get some advertising, and
Hmm.
it's a matter of council member Powell always has talked about it, that she has bags in her car, and then she gets into the store and she forgets the bags. So now I got to walk all the way back out, or do I take the plastic bags? But that'll become a habit after a while.
Hmm.
And I'll be honest, my wife and I have carried bags for a number of years.
Okay.
And I'm not saying I'm a proponent or in opposition to it, but it's part of what we've done with ours, and we've worn bags out, and but they should be washable, and they're made from many of them are made from recyclable material
Hmm.
and recycled plastic, and so it's a way to cut down on that plastic. To kind of go follow that along a little bit, we're finding that just scratching the surface. As many people know, my previous professional life was as a chemist and working with water and wastewater, and the plastic and the microplastics that are becoming pretty much ubiquitous, and they're virtually everywhere in our environment now, are becoming a hazard to us. And I
Hmm.
think we're just barely beginning to gain the knowledge as to what the impact is on us. But they're in our bodies, they're in our environment, and we may have to make some, over the next a couple decades, we may have to make some really drastic changes in order to get those removed from the environment. And I think
Hmm.
that's something we're going to have to deal with as a society.
Yeah. So it's definitely good to keep in tune with that. So that'll be at the next council meeting. And I know that if anyone has any questions, I know that you do offer write-in concerns as well too. Is that correct at the meetings?
Sure. Yes, you have an opportunity. There are a couple opportunities there to talk about either in the public comment period. You can either email something in, or you can email something in, or you can come and speak to the city council. You get up to 3 minutes to do that, and it's a chance to get your 2 cents into
Hmm.
the discussion. And I really like to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to speak. That's part of my job as mayor, to make sure everybody gets their chance to speak and voice their opinion. And that's why we've voted, council majority voted to delay this discussion to allow the people that are going to be impacted the most, and those are the retailers, to come and express themselves as well.
Very good. If you're watching on YouTube, you saw us waving. We were waving at Tony Lusenko of
Yeah,
the
and
Elgin
Tony
Area
was at
Cooper.
the council
Yep.
meeting last night, and he's been working on this for the last 2 or 3 years. So he's got a lot invested in this, and it's about getting the information out to the retailers to do that. And I'll tell you this:
Mhm.
they did a little video last night. That's not part of um, the documents that were available online, but there were 42 retailers that were. Um, uh, have to dig my way through my
Oh, you're
papers
good.
here. Bear with me. The 42 retailers that were contacted
Hmm.
and were found to be impacted, potentially impacted by this. And the names are Walgreens and Walmart, Target, Russo Power, Butera, Aldi. And one of the things that's been brought up a number of times as well, there are people that have done this without plastic bags, and Aldi's is one.
Hmm.
They don't use plastic bags, and they have boxes, and that's been their business model. And the other one is Sam's. They provide boxes. If you want boxes, you can bring your own bags, but they do not provide bags. So there are ways to do it. It becomes a little bit inconvenient, but people learn. And
Hmm.
is that something that other people will adapt, and if they have to? But the issue becomes, does it put some business to an economic disadvantage over our neighboring communities or our own, or even businesses within the city? Do they have? Is it going to be a little bit more costly to them? But that's something we're going to listen to, and the council will have to work their way through that.
Absolutely. We still have about 10 minutes left, roughly 9, 10 minutes left. So I wanted to move on to talk about the proclamations that you
Yeah.
made. We'll start off here in the order. You made a proclamation to the health and healing awareness.
Yes, and that was through the Human Relations Commission in the city of Elgin. Winfried Cooper, former chairman, did a really great job accepting that, and talked about it's a talk about mental wellness
Mhm.
and mental health, and the challenges that people face um, with that type of condition. And Winfrey talked about his challenge and his struggles with autism.
Okay.
So it talks about what's about mental awareness. It's about talking. He said he was stunned that how many organizations there are in Elgin that can provide assistance to people that have mental challenges. And but he said he was also stunned that there were many people that didn't know they were there.
Hmm.
So that's part of it, and it's about it's about awareness for this for the month of February, and I think that is part of what a proclamation's about. It brings out awareness. It doesn't necessarily solve the problem, but it makes it more aware for the community and to understand and have a little bit more awareness that there are people that are challenged. And I'll touch. I'll Matt, you're going to have to bear with me sometimes as we go
Okay.
on with this.
Hmm.
That when I have something now, it spurs something else in my mind.
Yeah. Hmm.
And one of the things that we've started to do in Elgin is provide affordable housing for people that have challenges.
Okay.
And one of those is mental illness. And last year or a couple of years, there was a couple of developments that came to Elgin that provide affordable housing and assisted housing for people that have both learning disabilities and mental illness. One is Hanover Landing out on Chicago Street. There's 50 apartments there for people that have some mental illness issues, and they're received government funding. Hanover Township was instrumental in bringing that to Elgin and created a safe environment for people that are going to be there. Ecker is a presence on that site.
Hmm.
AID built a Wildwood Commons down on Route 31, right near the state police, between the state police building and the um, driver's license.
Hmm.
And there are going to be a couple of projects down there for people that have learning disabilities and may have Down syndrome.
Hmm.
So those types of things become mental awareness, and through that mental awareness from as a society, that's how we provide housing for those people and the assistance that they need. So that's a good thing for us.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. And
The
then
sec-
you've also got Sunshine's Cupcakery Black History Month proclamation.
Right. They were designated as the Black Business of the Year, and became part of the Black History Month, and a very eloquent uh, acceptance from the owners of Sunshine Cupcake about her struggle and how to become a small businessman
Hmm.
as a minority person
Hmm.
and as a minority, and what it took for her to do that, and became a dream for her. And she came from a family that was challenged, and has struggled along and become a business owner in the city of Elgin, and makes us proud to be able to do that for people. And that's one of the things that we work hard at, is providing a starting point and a place for people to start a small business and
Hmm.
step up and hopefully grow into something that maybe becomes a national chain. It
Yeah.
catches on and becomes something that's popular. So it's very nice for that, and it's a good way to kick off Black History Month and the number of things that are going on in the city of Elgin for the month. And check the city's website and check Gail Borden Library's
Hmm.
website for those events and discussions that are going to happen. And started out with the MLK breakfast back in January. So
Yep. I had them. I had the coordinators on the air to talk about that.
yeah,
Yep.
so there are a lot of things going on, and that's
Hmm.
always something for everybody that spurs your interest. One
Absolutely.
thing again um, that we've started to talk about. There's James Harvey and the at the MLK breakfast. We've had something I found. There's a gentleman in Elgin. His name's Raleigh Sutton. Raleigh's a writer, and it'll kind of segue into the last proclamation a little bit.
Hmm.
Raleigh Sutton has written a number of books and articles on Black history, and one of those he identified a number of uh, uh, African American Civil War veterans, and
Hmm.
there's an effort now to try to recognize those. I passed some of the information that Raleigh gave me on to Janice Hare from the MLK committee, and to do a memorial. There are a number of for Kane County to recognize them and their service during the Civil War, and create a memorial so those people are not forgotten, and
Yep.
their contributions to the United States are not forgotten.
Absolutely. And then finally, of course, the George Rawlinson proclamation as well. If you
Yeah,
want to talk
and
about that.
I've known George, knew
Yep.
George for a long time.
Hmm.
I always talk about people and what do you think about him? And the best thing I can say about George, he was a nice guy.
Oh yes.
George was a nice man,
Yeah.
and that's about the highest compliment I can pay to somebody. He did
Yeah.
led a life that he wanted to live, gave back to his community, and whenever you talk to George, had a smile on his face, was always happy to see you, and he's a nice man. And
Yeah.
a well-known author in Elgin, and a writer, very talented writer, ran his own publication business, and gave back to the community that he loved, and
Hmm.
lived a good life, and going to be missed in the city.
He will, yes, definitely. Something that really stood out to me about George too is I had mentioned it maybe once or twice on the air that my mother was going through some health troubles, and he heard it, and every time after that, he'd always say, "How's your mother doing?" He never met my mother before, so um, that was always something that really stood out to me about George as well. And we're having an upcoming event that's February 18th, starting at 5 o'clock. It's a celebration of life for George Rawlinson. That's going to be at the 820 North Liberty Street, American Legion, Post 57. And so we encourage you come on out and celebrate the life of George.
Yeah. One last story about George. He
Hmm.
did um, wrote a book on Garfield School. And I
Okay.
went to Garfield grade school, and George interviewed me as a student,
Oh, wow.
and talked about what it was like when I was there. And
Hmm.
it was interesting. My father went there, my sister went, my whole family went to Garfield school, and we talked about community and how education had changed. And one of the questions that George asked me, he said, uh, he heard my comment. One of the most influential people in my life was my sixth grade teacher, and she introduced me into uh, ecology and environment and fossils and spurred an interest. And I said, "Look where it took me." And so those are the kind of things. What does your grade school mean to you? It means a lot.
Yeah.
It means a lot to a young person.
I love that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, again, we've only got about a minute and a half left. I thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else that you wanted to recap? I know there was something else too, and we only have so much time. It was, oh my goodness. I know it was about the bridge. You wanted to
Oh,
talk a
yeah,
little
we
bit about,
have
yes.
some bridge construction coming
Hmm.
up, and we'll look forward to, we only have a minute and a half, but we're starting to talk about the reconstruction of Kimball Street Bridge.
Hmm.
And there are going to be some traffic issues in the city, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about those as time goes on. But the city will start providing um, plans for alternative traffic routes. We'll be trying to educate the community on those to happen. And I said, I just did a thing for the neighborhood watch groups uh, the other night, and told them one of the things I fear as mayor the most are bridge reconstructions, and we're going to have a passel of them here. The Route 20 bridge over the Fox River. We're going to have Kimball Street Bridge. In the future, is going to be the Chicago Street Bridge. We're going to do a little upgrade on the National Street Bridge to help extend that's life. So those are projects that are going to be ongoing in the city of Elgin here in the next few years. So buckle up, and let's prepare for some construction holiday seasons, I guess.
Well, Mayor Dave Kaptain, thanks so much for joining us today and agreeing to come on twice a month with us here. I think it's so good for the city of Elgin and the community to know what's going on too. So
And
I
it's
appreciate it.
very important for us to make sure that the facts get out to people, and that the city provides a conduit of communication, and this is part of that conduit. So happy to
Absolutely.
do it.
Absolutely.